Okay, so registration. Registration is probably the most important thing that we're going to cover in this class in terms of trying to make your prints turn out right. Anytime you're going to do a multicolor screen print, registration is the most important step. You want to make sure you take plenty of time to figure this out and to do it right. So registration basically requires us to get our paper and our print in exactly the same spot for multiple layers. So one in yellow, you print them in there, and then the second layer in red that you want to print over the top. So in order to get that to work right, we have to have some system for stabilizing it. There's no one way to do it, no right or wrong way, but this is the most kind of simple but still very accurate way that we found in our particular shop to do it. So what you want to do is you want to get all of your paper cut down, and you want to make sure that you cut all the paper down to the exact same size, your proofing paper as well as the good paper. And once you get it all cut down to the right size, we have this 3-hole punch thing here. And the 3-hole punches align with our registration matrix. So this little registration matrix that has these little tabs kind of put on it that we can attach the paper over the top of. So once you get your paper all cut down and ready to go, or torn down, you can kind of set it in the 3-hole punch, and this little guide thing here can sometimes help a little bit to make sure that all goes right. If you need to do it in multiple stacks, that's fine. It doesn't matter at all, as long as every piece of paper is 3-hole punched before you print it. So kind of line it all up, kind of use this little guide thing if you want. You want to make sure your paper for our first project in the SPU printmaking class, you want to make sure that your paper is 15 by 22. That's a half a sheet of regular paper, so you can tear it or cut it down. So once you get that ready and you line it up carefully, you just punch holes in it. And now these 3-hole punch spots that we put in the paper are going to line up with our registration matrix. And we'll be able to kind of drop our paper down over the little tabs that are there, and we know that the paper's always going to stay stable. So this is step 1. We'll go to step 2 here in a minute. So we're going to go ahead and do stage 2 of registration now. So we have our registration matrix, a 3-hole punch thing with the tabs on it, and I like to keep the transparency that we used for our layer close by, and then your pieces of paper. So what you want to do is take one of your pieces of paper, the size that you want your final finished print to be, and you just take the 3-hole punch tabs here and just line it up here so that the 3-hole punch paper goes over the top of those tabs. And then I always like to keep pieces of tape, lots and lots of tape in this class. And just to help me line up this first one, I like to tape it down to make sure that nothing's kind of moving around, so I can scoot it like this. If you want to, you can take your transparency and set that down on here, and then that'll help you figure out where to lay down the first layer so that it's centered. But really all you have to do at this point is take your screen, and you want to just set it into the screen printing unit here like that, and we'll just tighten these clamps down so that it's nice and tight. You don't want anything moving around on you. You want it to be nice and tight. So that everything is stable. Then we can just lift up on the arm there. And then you can just kind of eyeball it. This first layer, the first layer is kind of, everything else is going to follow along after that. So we just kind of want our image to be square on there. We want it to be in the center of the paper. So if this looks good, I'll go ahead and say, yeah, that looks great. I'm just going to go like this, and then I'm going to tape down this registration matrix so that it doesn't move around. This is really, really important. You never ever want this registration matrix to move on you. You want it to be in exactly the same spot with every single print. So once I get it kind of taped down like that, I can take the paper off. And then I'm just going to take a long piece of tape here, and I'll just make sure that this guy stays where it's supposed to, so it doesn't move around on my on the press bed here. So once I get that set, I can put my paper back, and then just to make extra sure that nothing's moving around on me here, that nothing shifts, I can one of the things I like to do is I like to tape a card along one edge, like maybe here or down here, and just kind of tape a card there to make sure that it keeps my paper really stable in 3 spots so that nothing is moving around on me, so that everything stays exactly where it's supposed to. So once we get that set, now we can take this piece of paper and print on it, and then we can take our next piece of paper and print on that, and as long as I do everything correctly, it should all line up, and I know exactly where you know, this corner is supposed to align with the rest of it, and I'm ready to print. So now we'll go ahead and we'll move into printing our first color.